Welcome back to Britt and Josh.
I decided that since the channel was named Britt and Josh, that I would let Josh be in the video this time.
It's so nice of you for having me as a guest on your show.
You're so very welcome. My kindness is unmatched. In our video about buying land for $9,000, a few people commented that that would be one of the cheapest things we would purchase pre-build.
They were not wrong.
And so we want to walk through what on earth we had to buy before even putting a shovel in the ground, because the total for all of the pre-build costs is,
drumroll please, $68,501.03.
that 3 cents really sent us over the edge. So let's go through what it is we had to purchase before we even started construction.
In the beginning of our build, we were hands off a lot, so we were able to keep very specific records about every cent that was spent. So we have a big old Google sheet that's divided into category, and we're gonna go through each one of those categories. The first one being our land purchase. You guys already saw that video, but the total land purchase, which we're including in our before we even put a shovel in the ground calculation, is $9,171.09. After we have the land purchase, now we need to start designing and engineering the two buildings we wanted to build. So let's move into our next category, architecture and site engineering fees.
The architect we worked with, his fee was $17,500, but thankfully we were able to make installments on that. So over the course of multiple months that we worked with him to design the house in Casita, we did $2,000 payments about every 2 weeks.
And actually that number is $17,505.70 because we had to mail him his checks.
There you go.
As we worked with our architect for a little over 8 months to get our plans ready, we were able to do some stuff on site. So we got our site surveyed, which means they need to go around and find where exactly all the corners of our property were so that we could make sure we were building within those bounds.
So we had to make an initial payment of $2,470, another $4.05 to send a check, and then a final $1,420 for actually placing those corners.
So the total to put 4 stakes in the ground exactly where they need to be was $3,894.05.
It's very expensive wooden stakes.
And actually at the end of our build, we lost one because they started putting in our electrical pole, and when they did that, it had to be like within a foot of one of the corners.
Yeah.
And they lost that stake.
So they just threw that away. So
I think that's like a $950 loss. Okay, there was a random cost in here for $25 because we wanted to work on HVAC plans. We didn't end up using that provider, so that $25 was a loss. There's another cost in here for down payment for fire suppression plans. That was $960 towards an invoice of about $4,800.
we have another purchase for more wooden stakes in the ground for our, we have it literally labeled for our tractor guy.
Some of the coolest guys.
And then also $56 for printing our architectural plans. Now, this ended up being kind of cool. Our designer formatted the designs to fit on smaller sheets of paper. He told us that was going to save us money. Our plans were probably 80 plus pages.
What's the size? It's like 8.5 by...
I can't even remember. It might be 11 by 14.
Yeah.
So usually plans are much bigger than that. He formatted them smaller, and we got those printed for
$56.
$56. You've encountered other plans since then that are on larger sheets. They're less page sizes, and
Yeah, I think we've probably paid about $80 for a set of plans.
so we actually did save money on smaller sheets for the plans. So that was great. Next, let's talk about the arborist.
The $450 we spent on a letter from a certified arborist to say that our buildings will not affect the Joshua trees that are on our parcel and that we're good to go. We can build. That $450 is nothing compared to what it is now. We had very little red tape to go through to build our homes. Now you have to work with an arborist who charges you per tree because they take a picture of it and then they have to include it in the report. And then most times now you also have to go to the state and they charge you thousands of dollars if you're within a certain radius of a tree. And not only if your buildings are going to be built within that radius, if you're going to drive cars within that radius, they count that as an effect on the tree and will start charging you. So This $450, it was a steal at the time.
Next, we have on here a few extra payments for Title 24. And if you don't know what Title 24 is, that is the energy rating of your house to make sure that it's efficient. There were some mix-ups on our plans, and so we had to pay the Title 24 engineers to do some revisions. To be fair, Title 24 rules had changed that year. Yeah. So engineers were working through some changes and trying to make sure everything was right and scrambling to get that done.
So that total was $200. And then the next one we have is we paid the structural engineer for a part of their invoice. After we work with the architect, they worked with our structural engineer to give us perfect plans. And then once we started going through those plans, we realized, hey, they're wrong. So we had to go back to the engineer ourselves and ask him to rework everything. So he had a couple $200 charges in there for us to get our plans right.
And then finally, we have some charges for our binders, book rings, and labels because we wanted to have everything super organized on site. Not only did we have our plans printed out, but we had all of the documents perfectly organized so that anytime we needed to reference them, they were good to go. So all of our little school supplies cost about $43.
That was a big category with a lot of expenses, but in total, architecture and site engineering fees came out to $23,619.20.
All right, what's our next category?
Land development costs and fees. This one's exciting because it's our address. So once you get your parcel, you need to be found, and that cost $158. It's really fun because once you finally start seeing your parcel show up on Google Maps, it means it's real.
It means it's real. The next category is city water and hookup. We did not have to do a well here.
Thank goodness. Those are a mess.
We made sure when we were purchasing this land that city water was available. So this includes a will serve letter from the utility company for $40.
Which you can't even get your plans approved without that.
Correct. Payment for a fire flow test for $85. Blue spray paint to show where the water will go for $4.33. Paying for the water meter, which was $5,418, and the water meter installation for $1,295.
In total, that all cost $6,842.64 just to get water on site. So the next category is septic. Now, septic gets built at the end of your construction project in most cases. But before all that happens and you put a shovel in the ground, you need to know how much and how quickly your ground can absorb the water that's going to be coming out of your system. To do that, you have to have a percolation test.
It's time for the percolator.
That test, they do it in 2 steps. One's on site, and then a couple weeks later, actually, I think it was like a month later.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Ooh.
Oh my gosh, it was 5 months
5
later.
months later.
They gave us our report so we could submit to the county. The total for this was $1,750.
The next category is interior rough-ins. We have only one item for this. This
is our cheapest category.
This was just a down payment for our Tesla solar panels and Powerwall. Now, we actually didn't end up using Tesla solar panels. We just used the Powerwall.
No, they wouldn't install it on our property at the time.
So only $100 for that.
Okay, the next category is permit fees and inspections, and this is where the government, they get you.
There's a lot of line items here.
Many of them over $1,000, but still not the most expensive. So let's go through this here a little bit. Paid for county to review the plans, $2,535.19. I don't know what they do with the 19 cents. I don't know why there are cents in this sheet at all, but there you go. They got their 19 cents. That is them literally just going over our plans, architectural and structural. We had to pay for an environmental health services to review the percolation test, make sure that the ground, in fact, was going to absorb the water. They charged us $341.33 for that. Then we needed to pay for a waste management plan. We had to tell them how we were going to handle all of our trash on site, fill out documentation for that, let them review that documentation, and then pay for them to do that. That's crazy. I think we spent the majority of our time on this project managing trash.
There was a lot of time managing trash.
Yeah. Total for them to look at that was $153.38.
Next, we had to pay for school fees and the check to send in those school fees. That was $5,615.
It's worth noting, though, that's a one-time charge. You never have to pay those school fees again once you build the house.
Correct. And then there's another review fee from the county. So when you submit your plans, you get a certain amount of review round revisions, and then after that you have to pay the county. And because there was a lot of back and forth with the designer and the county, we did have to pay for some extra revisions. I actually have on here $254 and another $254 for 2 more rounds.
Oh, that's right, because we had to get the structural engineer back involved. They made their changes, and then the county had to reapprove those. So actually, it was really helpful that they caught this, because the county caught the errors in the plans, and then we were tasked on fixing it, because by that point, our architect was out of the picture.
Next, we had to get our easement documents notarized and sent off. We found out later that our bank would have done that for free, but we didn't know that, so we had UPS do that. So the total for all of that was $37.95.
If we had saved that money,
It's like 3.5 coffees at the Des.
oh, I empty.
Okay, next I have on here paid for fire suppression plan to be reviewed. That was $882.42.
So expensive.
We just were throwing money away. Not as expensive as paying for the building permit, which was $2,423.97.
Yeah, so we have that on here twice. Once for the county to begin reviewing the plans, and then again to complete the review of all the plans and get stamped approval to build.
We also paid for the ADU permit. The ADU is an additional dwelling unit. That is the guest house, AKA the casita. That was $1,560.
They treat both houses separately. So we have 2 single-family residences being built at the same time, which is 2 separate sets of plans, 2 separate sets of permits. We built them at the same time, though, to save on bringing contractors back, which I think it saved it.
I think it did. Finally, we have builder's insurance for $1,080 and an amendment to the house plans with the county for $308.
I can't remember what that amendment was, but in total for this category of permits, fees, and inspections was $15,697.52. That brings us to rentals. What was our rental? Oh, your favorite thing, the outhouse.
Do you know what it's like to share an outhouse with dirty construction men for 11 months? I don't recommend it.
That cost was $99.29. There was a monthly fee after that, but that's how much it cost before we started building.
Next, we have tools. I wanted to make sure that our construction site was non-smoking because I have asthma and smoke really bothers me, and construction people usually smoke a lot. So I made these cute little construction signs to ask people not to smoke, and that is why I'm extra. Those cost almost $50. And then we also got a canopy tent because we knew we were going to be out on the land a lot. We wanted to set up a little table to put all of our plans and have some shade, and that was $133.73. The first day we put that up,
It was up for 10 minutes.
and then the wind took it and she died.
Literally inverted it. That's not how that's supposed to look.
We're doing a great job.
Oops.
And we never got to use it again. So that was $133 not well spent. And that brings us to our final category, which was bank fees.
Oh, good old bank fees. Okay, I'll take those. We had to pay for our appraisal, an application fee, and a credit check for our bank. We were solopreneurs at the time, and so it was really complicated to get a construction loan for people that own their own business. So
And who have never done construction before. This is a true story. When we were shopping around for banks, I'm absolutely going to tell this. We were shopping around for banks who would give us a construction loan. We were on the phone with one of them, and they asked us point blank, why should we give you a construction loan when you have had no experience in construction? And this man said, with a straight face,
let me tell you something. I have built IKEA furniture before.
he said that to the bank.
Somehow it worked. We got the loan.
Somehow we got the loan. So, hallelujah for miracles.
So the total we had to pay them to check on our credit, $1,355.11. We had to give them a commitment fee of $1,500. And then, let's see, there's a payment for a personal loan in here for $295.15. And then we had to finally open escrow for $7,721. And then there was like a monthly statement fee for $872. That's $8.72. Okay, that brings us to the end of all the transactions that it took to get us from concept to putting a shovel in the ground. Okay, so let's see again. The total for everything was $68,501.03. That's a lot to come out of pocket with, but once we were at the beginning of construction and the bank saw work happening, then we were able to start taking draws on our construction loan. So things got a little bit easier after that. We still had to show a lot more in the bank to qualify for the construction loan. So there was a little bit more extra cash that was needed up front, but this hopefully gives you an idea of at least the transactions and things that happen and what it'll cost you before you have to put your shovel into the ground to start your build.
Okay, that's all we got for you guys today. Hopefully that was helpful, and we will see you in the next one.
Britt and Josh, we'll see you in the next one.
Bye.